Welcome back to Flow Sports. I'm James Verrett, your host. We went from one postseason team in the Delta State Statesmen. Now we go to another postseason team in the West Florida Argonauts, joined now by Kaleb Nobles and Ben Freeman, the offensive lineman for West Florida. Coach Nobles, this is year 2 for you. Year 1 was sort of trial by fire. What did you learn about yourself and your team after year 1?
Yeah, I mean, you learn a lot of things. Team's resilient. Players are, they're going to play as hard as they can if they know that you love them. And so, personally, just for me, just delegate as much as you can. You don't have to do everything. I got a great staff who gives me those opportunities every day. So excited about, the team and the program moving forward.
We were talking earlier, you saying that delegation was something that you had to learn sort of the hard way, right?
A little bit, yeah. I mean, a couple of weeks first on the job, I thought, oh man, I might just do this, do that, and then as they get going and people pop in the office, it's like, no, coach, you got this, coach, you got this. So it's and our staff's phenomenal. They take those things and run with it. So I'm excited that for year 2, be a lot hopefully smoother as far as behind closed doors.
When you look at your team offensively, what do you have coming back, and what players are you going to be depending on to make this team not only a top team but a team that can run for a national title?
Well, for sure. I mean, O-lineman, we got 3 or 4 guys that have played a bunch and started games last year. Ben started 9 and 12 for us and played in all the other games too. So phenomenal leadership on that group that a lot of games started, a lot of games played. Obviously, the big, popular thing is lost quarterback Pee Wee Jarrett, who's a phenomenal player. We got guys in the wings that are waiting and competing to be the guy, and everybody asks, so I'm going to beat you to the punch. You won't find out until September 5th who the guy's going to be. So, but we got guys that are ready. Running backs, Jamontez Woods back. A couple wide receivers are back. A couple guys we've added, outside that using transfers or high school kids. So excited about everybody we have coming back and the experience that we have on the offense.
When you look at the Argonauts, a national championship is a standard for this institution. But when you're trying to build it, how selective are you in the type of athletes that you bring into the program?
Well, I think first and foremost, it's got to be about academics, right? And we're not an easy school to get into, and we're a great university, very prestigious university in Florida and across the country, and that's been publicized in rankings. So for us, finding the right guys that can do well academically, but also play good football as well. And so we make sure we have a very tight profile on who that is and who these guys how they can manage every day at UWF. And so we focus on everything outside the field first and then watch the huddle tape, then watch the film to make sure that it all lines up with who they are outside of the field.
When you go back and look at the tape from last season, you did make it to the postseason, you fall to Delta State. What were the tweaks that you think you could have made that could have gotten you over the hump, and what were the things that you worked on in the spring that you think will help you get over the hump?
Yeah, I mean, I could talk for 30 minutes about that, just things I would love to go back and change back in Cleveland, Mississippi in November. But ball security is one of them, right? Making sure you hold on to the football in the biggest moments and taking care of the football in any possession needs an in a kick, whether it be a field goal, extra point, or punt. But then for us overall, just making sure that we're focused on the next play. I'm not worried about anything that's happened in the past because I have no chance to go change it. So I might as well focus on what I can control now instead of waiting and focusing on things in the past.
Is that one of the ingredients that you're looking for in your signal caller? I know we're going to have to wait till the fall to find out. But what are those ingredients? Because I know you're a former signal caller at West Florida, so you know what it takes in order to win big games in big places. But what are you looking for when you say that's going to be my guy?
Yeah, just a guy who's a leader, first and foremost, and guys rally around him. People are going to follow that guy no matter where he's going and doing it the right way. And then just, a guy who's a student of the game, wants to learn, but also just has fun while he's playing the game, right? You can't be a robot. These kids are not professional athletes, right? So they need to make sure they're enjoying their college experience, but also focused on, I got goals in football. How do I get there and how to prepare? And I tell them all the time, I've sat in your chair, right? I've played here, quarterback here. I'm probably the worst quarterback at UWF in school history, but I've played there, right? And so, I've done it. So let me lean on me a little bit, and I'll give you some guidance and wisdom on what it looks like to play here, quarterback here.
All right, let's take a look at your schedule, a daunting schedule that we'll have for the West Florida Argonauts. And it's always tough when you think about the Gulf South Conference, but when you look at it, you're going to open up with really just one team before you start to slide into conference play, and then you go way up north to take on a perennial power in Grand Valley State.
For sure. And everybody, everybody's talking about that one. Last year we played FAMU, and everybody was talking about that one. But in my mind, We ain't playing them right now. We're playing ourselves. We're playing the man in the mirror who we're focused on. For us, it's fall camp, how we're going to attack practice, how we're going to be efficient at practice, getting reps done. Those games will be there. They're inevitably going to show up on the schedule. So we're not focused about who it is down the line. We're focused on us. Obviously, you play McKendree first. We got a 16-day layoff after that, and then we get into conference play with West Al, who great team, beat us last year. And so our guys will have a chip on their shoulder, but they need to have a chip on their shoulder for every day of practice, every game, because what you do in practice is only going to show up on the field. So we're not focused on anybody else outside of our four walls.
When you look at your schedule, is scheduling important in conference play, because you don't want to necessarily play Delta State and Valdosta State back-to-back weeks to try to stay healthy and stay upright, but do you try to look at it and try to schedule yourself the best way you can?
Yeah, as much control as we have in the conference. I mean, you say you don't want to play Delta and Valdosta back-to-back, but I did it last year and played West Al before them too. So we've done it. Nothing against anybody else, but I mean, everybody in the conference is good, right? You better show up with an A game every single day when you're playing in the GSC. And so it doesn't matter who you're playing. They're going to give you a good game. They got great athletes, great skill players, O-linemen. So scheduling, a lot of times we don't have control of it as far as who we're playing in the conference. So you better be prepared to play who's showing up on Saturday.
You go up against a lot of high-powered offenses. Defensively, you were pretty good. You have freshman defensive player of the year in Ralph Ortiz. When you look at your defense, how good do you think they can be this year?
Yeah, I think the sky's the limit for them. A second year in a system with Coach Connor, defensive coordinator who's a phenomenal coach, phenomenal leader of men. We had a couple guys who got hurt, right, in either preseason that didn't play at all for us that were starters the year before, or we had a linebacker go down in week 2, a D lineman go down in week 2 that didn't play the rest of the year. And those guys were all conference players the year before. Well, we look for guys that can develop behind them, right? We're going to play a lot of players and make sure guys are healthy. I'm not going to play the same guy every snap, every game, because we got to build, make sure you can play later in the season too. So we got a lot of guys returning on defense, which is exciting. A lot of guys that we've added that we think can help us, both transfer, both junior college and high school. So I'm excited to see them and see how they grow together through fall camp.
All right. We talked to Mr. Freeman here. Now, you go up against that defense during the spring and every day at practice. What have you seen in the spring that will get you excited about the defense that you're going up against?
Mainly they just love playing together, and they love flying around and getting to the ball. You can tell that every person on that defense enjoys each other. They play really close with each other. They love playing off each other. And, with defense, if you can play fast, you can play just about anything. And that's a really hard defense to go against, is when the defense coordinator can keep things simple and just let the defensive guys just run free. And I think our defense has done a really good job of that through spring. That D-line we had last year, a lot of those guys are back and they're ready to go, which is always a pain in the butt for spring ball as an offensive lineman. But, I appreciate what they do for me in practice as long as they're not, that gets me ready for a game. But, our linebackers, really deep group, a lot of talented, a lot of experience in that group. And our secondary, they love playing fast. There's some young guys, a little bit of turnover there, but, we got guys like, Virgil, they're back there that, I always know how Virgil's doing by how Virgil's telling me he's doing. So, and he's usually pretty good. So, it's a fun defense. They play really fast, and I'm really excited for what they do this fall.
A lot of people, when they think of offense, they think of the quarterback, wide receivers, running back, but the offensive line is really what makes it go. What can you tell me about your fellow offensive linemen, and what type of offensive line can we expect to see this fall?
Well, I think you're going to see a really tight offensive line. We've been hanging out a lot this summer. We've kept everyone in Pensacola. We've been working out together every day after weights. We go out and we do we do some individual stuff. We do some stuff as a group. We're always hanging out. Just stuff to slowly build that chemistry, because unlike just about any other position in football, if one person's not pulling their weight, the entire offensive line falls apart. So we need 5 dudes. We need depth behind those 5 dudes to really be a powerful offensive line. I think that come fall, you're gonna see a well-oiled machine. Coach Soniak is gonna get us ready, mentally and all that good stuff. But I think you're gonna see a really powerful offensive line. It's gonna move the line of scrimmage, get people out of the way, pave room for our running backs, and make sure that whoever's pulling the trigger at quarterback can have all the time they need.
I hear you. During the off season, you had a job.
Yes, sir.
An interesting job.
Oh, yeah.
And a job that I think your fellow offensive linemen liked. Could you tell me about that job?
Yeah, no, I was slinging pizzas for a couple bucks an hour. Having just keep a little money in my back pocket. I liked having making pizza. I bring some home for my roommates, every once in a while bring home some wings or a burger, keep them fed, keep them happy. But, it was also nice to have a little escape from football, talk about something else. But, it was a good time, just slinging pizza,
So tell me this: do you allow them to come and order whatever they want,
Oh,
and they put it
absolutely
on
not.
your tab?
Absolutely not. If they came in and ordered on my tab, I would be making negative dollars at my job. I would be making negative money because those boys can put away some food.
I hear you. Eating together builds camaraderie.
Yes, sir.
Offensive linemen have to have their own separate language outside of the language that they have for the quarterback and the running backs. How quickly were you guys able to have that camaraderie as offensive linemen?
Well, it takes time. We lost 3 really, really high contributors from last fall. 3 guys that were, really solid. And so we've kind of had to replace those guys as well as build some depth. We have a lot of young guys. And it took a while. It's not an instant thing. Luckily, we had a pretty good spring, all of us together. And then through summer, at least once a week, everyone's always coming to somebody's apartment or house, and we're all hanging out all night. We're all lifting together. We lift at the 8 o'clock lift. The entire offensive line is there, and if you're not there, someone's going to kick down your door likely when the lift's over. It's been good. We've been holding each other accountable, which I think is very important for the offensive line because we need everyone to meet the standard. And the standard of West Florida is that RTA standard of your personal best and excellence. So I think we've been doing a good job of holding people accountable, and through that we build that trust with each other.
All right, thank you. Now, we're talking about standards. When we think about the postseason in NCAA, your first season, you make it to the postseason, and by the way, you've got to play a team that you've already played just a few weeks ago. When we think about making changes to the standard for NCAA, what are your thoughts on the playoffs, and what could we see in the future? What would you like to see in the future as far as D2 playoffs?
How much time do you have?
We got a little while.
I think first and foremost, they've got to understand that it's about the student athlete, right? And it's about their experience. And so as a coach, right, we'll play anybody. Doesn't matter you're in the top 28 in the country. You'll get in the playoffs and play. But, we got to think about the kids, the student athletes who work, who grind all week to get ready to play. And so for them to have to travel to a place that we played 4 weeks earlier, right, go to the same locker room, go to the same facilities, I think they get robbed of the experience, right? And this is what the playoffs should be a little bit about, is experience. And so I'd encourage people who are not riding the buses with us, not making the trips with us, send somebody to ride with us on the bus. Send somebody to come hang out with us. And then my thing is, a lot of it's regionalization, right? Saving money, making sure trips make sense, mileage. We move people around, even though it made trips longer for them, we reseated people in other regions. And so if it is about mileage and saving money, then where's the benefit for the kids, right? They didn't get anything for going to play somebody because it was a shorter trip, right, other than a patch on the jersey. Mm-hmm. And so I think those things are important that don't need to be lost by the NCAA. It's about the kids, right? Coaches will do whatever. We'll game plan. It's our job. We're getting paid to do that. So, but the kids, they need to be thought about first and foremost. And at the end of the day, the best people that have played in the conference week in and week out really probably need to be playing each other first and second round, right? I feel for us, feel for Todd, feel for Tremaine. But, we're coaches. We'll play whoever. But there's got to be a little bit of change in thought, and I don't want D2 football and D2 athletics to be lost in the minds of NCAA just because there's plenty of other things going on. We're a good sport and a good Division II, right? And it doesn't need to be lost in the shuffle of everything else.
Coach, when you think about it schematically, you're going up against a team, number one, to win the conference, to put yourself in the playoffs. You're trying to leave it all out there on the field. So you do leave it all out there on the field, and then you got to turn around the next week and try to find something else that you didn't put out there. How difficult is that to game plan for a team that you just faced just a few weeks ago?
Right. There's problems with it. There's good and bad. The good is I think Delta only played one team after us, and we played them, right? So it wasn't a bunch of film that we had to change. Obviously, it didn't go well for us that day, so we didn't play well. But, the negative is there's, you get kids that, they played 4 weeks ago, right? And it's going to be chippy when you play good teams in the GSC. And so you play somebody, and it's fresh on their mind. Things don't always go well on the field, and that's happened in other regions, other playoff games. And so there's just got to be a real deep look at the playoff system, right? If you're going to be the 28 best, let those 28 best not or play it out the right way, and not just because it's a shorter trip for somebody else. That just doesn't make sense in my mind.
All right, Coach, thank you so very much. Good luck to you. Good luck to you. Stay tuned. We come back, we'll have more of the Gulf South Conference Football Media Day right here on Flow Sports.